Countdown, the new limited time event in the Outlast trials, where you are a ticking time bomb. Countdown is a new update in the Outlast trials. In the new limited time event, reagents become ticking time bombs. In the MK challenges, reagents must survive while their ESOP has been rigged with explosives, which have a countdown timer. You can extend this timer by finding time extenders placed throughout the trial. In this video, I'm going to talk more about the countdown update, as well as look at the controversial new trials. If reagents fail to complete the trial before the countdown ends, everyone is blown up simultaneously and fails the trial. While you can extend the countdown by using time extenders, when it runs out, the trial will end, even with revives equipped. Which makes sense considering Murkoff are going through C4 like they're fucking demolition experts on 9/11. There is also a secondary objective in each trial, where the reagent must find and destroy a radio which is broadcasting somewhere in the trial. More on that later. The event is made of two parts, with part 1 taking place from September 10th to the 24th, and part 2 taking place from September the 24th to the 8th of October. With part 1, we have two trials taking place in Franco Bambino's home turf, the docks. The trials are Poison the Cattle and Empty the Vault. I have played both trials and found them to be good additions, although I have experienced teething issues in the form of trial-breaking glitches.
Guys, I don't know if you can hear me, but my character just bugs. You cannot help me, like I'm stuck with the enemies. I'm sorry, but you have to leave, guys. You have to leave me.
One such glitch had Franco and a grunt freezing in an attack animation, preventing a player from finishing the trial. Although they've been quite entertaining, I do admit.
Never happened to me, like what the fuck? It's fine, just leave, it's fine. never see that in my entire life, that's crazy. What the fuck? Bro, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now, but yeah, just leave me, you cannot do anything. But, that was my last, so have a good night, boys. Thank you very much.
I am yeah, bro. What? Yeah, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. No.
Bro, what the fuck? How the fuck am I still alive? That makes no sense. Okay, I'm just going to leave the game. I think that would be easier. See you guys. I think it will end it for you normally. That's fucking crazy. What the hell?
I'm excited to see more of the docks area, and I wanted to talk about these trials in more detail, starting with Empty the Vault. Casinos are a temple of idiot waste and willful failure. Steal from those who would steal from you. We arrive at the docks, and the first thing we encounter is this Andrew Tate looking motherfucker. A strange mannequin on a boat tells us to steal a package for him. He has multiple lines of dialogue, most of which pertaining to Franco's limp cock.
That pervert can't even get it up. Candy from a baby.
And other insults.
Yeah, like a fucking ballsack.
The funny thing about his dialogue is I already wrote a joke about stealing a box of tits for the heist mission, but I found out he says a similar line in the trial.
I don't want to see your face again until you've got a box of tits.
We move through the casino, where they have recreated a bustling environment with more mannequins. We have a bar with people swinging to a jazz band downstairs. There are cutouts representing barkeeps and mafia bodyguards. Then upstairs we have a full casino, fitted with card tables, whatever this game is, and slot machines. Whatever you do, don't gamble, otherwise you'll end up like this prick blowing his whole paycheck on a hand of cards. Look at the disappointment on her face. Never mind though, she sharply gets over it.
You're a dummy now, ain't you?
The casino has interesting side rooms, with people being beaten up in a back room and being held up by gunpoint. There's even a strip club with stripper animatronics. Looking closer, we see that they have words scribbled on them. Some of these etchings read baby deposit, paradise, future whore, and nice ass. Very classy red barrels, tastefully done. There's a cocaine deal happening in the same room. I wonder what they're talking about.
I'm making some changes.
Well, thanks for fucking telling me. When was this decided? I do something wrong?
Sunday. My house. Box of Malamos on the counter. Fucking empty. You think I don't know it was you?
Presumably all of this is to serve Franco's ego and immerse him in this world. From here, we get a good view of the area. We can see the Laboratory Chemco, Train Depot, and Whitehorn's Petroleum. We unlock the vault by finding codes hidden in symbols. Once the vault is unlocked, we see many things inside that are easy to miss. There is a poster of a woman on the wall, with human skin nailed to it. To the right of that, there's a tailor's dummy with a pair of fleshy breasts attached. On the shelves, there are packets of infant formula alongside baby bottles, smeared with blood. Let's not talk about the nipple vice on the table, and instead look at the station where Franco constructs his buckshots. Teeth are scattered everywhere, along with scales and empty shells. There are also the pliers which he uses to pry teeth from his fallen victims. And lastly, per Andrew Tate's request, a package which seems to just be a box of tits. There are a couple of items of note here. Firstly, wolf's milk, the Franco patented concoction I mentioned in my previous video, as well as some kind of ID cards, with various women on them. Are these some kind of nurses, or possibly even wet nurses? Who knows? Let's grab it and take it back to the creep. Then finally take the box to the boat in the docks, to be smuggled away. The pervert mannequin tells you to get the f*** out of town. You don't have to tell me twice. Get me out of here. The milk of human kindness must be contaminated with liberty and progress. Poison the cattle and spoil their milk. We are dropped into the trial and told to poison the cattle. Right away, we find ourselves in an area with lots of cages. There is a central room where a naked person is being held in a cage with two large industrial fans cutting through the light above. A trail of hay and blood follows a path to a freight filled with cages. When we board the freight, we find multiple women being held captive inside. The conditions are grim, with some of the cages not being big enough to lie down. Some are newly deceased, while others have been there for a longer time, their bodies bloated and decaying. One woman fidgets and whispers to herself, while another lies whimpering in her cage, with only a bucket and her teddy bear keeping her company. At the end of the carriage, we see multiple corpses hanging from a wall, possibly reagents who have died participating in the trial. One is attached to the wall with spikes bursting through their chest. We head further forward and walk under a sign which reads South Brooklyn Train Depot, New York Port. Here we encounter two victims hooked up to some kind of elaborate contraption, which wouldn't be out of place in the Hannibal TV show. Upon closer inspection, we can see various tubes coming in and out of the victims. To the left, there is a female grunt who has two tubes attached to her breasts, which leads to a pump which is pumping milk into glass jars above them. To the right, there is another grunt hooked up in a similar fashion. Each has a feeding tube strapped to their face, which is attached to a central pump. In front of the milking station, there is another device with a funnel on top, which is meant for feeding. This is where we pour the poison in the trial to kill the so-called cattle and spoil the milk. Taking a closer look at the victims, you can see the feeding tube vibrate as food is forced through, as well as hear their forced slurps. There is a dead look in these defeated women's eyes. They are bolted in place, unable to break free. They will live out the rest of their lives in this sorry state. We see boilers and various milk processing equipment in the area. There are large milk jugs on storage shelves. On the jugs is the branding Moor Cow Milk Co. They have a cheese-like residue spilling out of the edges, which is almost enough to make me opt for plant-based alternatives next time I order a coffee. That's a fucking lie. The atmosphere remains grim as we enter a side room where the milk is bottled. We find a tank that is filling the milk jugs, which has a tube that leads over a white curtain. When we peer behind it, we find a deceased victim of Murkoff's experiment. Their arm has been amputated, or rather cut off in some crude fashion. Her breast tissue has been severed, and a pump has been inserted into one, and a milk bottle head forced into the other. Her head has been maimed, with only a third of it remaining, and the face missing entirely. It looks like this was an experiment on how to best extract the milk, and when the subject was no longer needed, they disposed of them. When we glance over to the Mayo table by the side, we find severed flesh with nipples still attached. A scientist watches over this experiment as if it were any ordinary job. As we move through the area, we encounter more disturbing scenes of women being exploited for milk production. Similar to Poison the Medicine, you need to proceed to find containers of poison and bring them back to the train depot. You will need to explore areas of the dock, such as the shipping yard, casino, and Chemco laboratory. Once you empty the final container of poison, the two grunts begin to convulse and vomit as the milk turns bad. The two eventually die of poisoning. Find the radio. As I mentioned earlier, there is a secondary objective in the new challenges, which is to destroy a radio randomly placed in the trial. When you hear a mix of static frequencies and Morse code, you know it's nearby. You need to smash the radio to complete the objective. I saw on the Outlast wiki that somebody has uploaded the audio files from the radio. A voice repeats the lines: escape, reagent, completed, wait, standby, experiment. There are also clean versions of the voice files.
Escape, escape, wait, stand by, experiment.
Which let us know it's the same voice we hear in the trials, which belongs to Alice Bradley Alvalanos. There is a beeping sound during the transmission, so I decided to use a Morse code translator to try and figure out if it had a secret message. There's a lot of static and sounds in the message, and I know nothing about Morse code, so I didn't have any luck cracking it. Then I saw a Reddit post by Pablito Minipito. They cover what I've already mentioned, but they go on to mention First PK Main, or First Pack Main, has figured out the Morse code and translated it. It translates to Amelia, I got out, I'm free. I think it's about time we look at the new evidence files. I will start with the evidence file, An Apology. It's a transcription from a tape conference between Reagent 1733 and Observing Scientist. They say that Reagent 1733 is heavily injured around the neck and jaw. Scientist: a pattern where opportunity replaces regret. 1733: it doesn't mean garbled. It's unclear, possibly hobby. Scientist: it took effort and risk. You put yourself in danger to mark that corpse. 1733: laughter, weeping. Scientist: while anaesthetized, you said, I'm sorry, Amelia. 1733: I didn't. I garbled. I can't breathe. Scientist: who is Amelia? 1733: nobody. Unclear. I told you. Unclear, possibly ending in thing. Reagent 1733 was pronounced dead roughly 20 minutes later. Any further words are lost. In the evidence file, the 8th World, it reads, a female reagent, case number 1733, was observed ritualistically defacing the corpse of another reagent. The following words were carved into the back, buttocks, and left thigh of the corpse, possibly with a shard of tin. Everyone, greed, regret. Everyone, greed, opportunity, regret. Every. Reagent 1733 was attacked and maimed by experimental population in the process of carving the 8th word. She was drugged and detained in passage through the elevation corridor for questioning. In the Reddit post, Pablito Minipito points out that the first letters of these words add up to form the word egregore. Egregore is a non-physical entity or thought form that is created by the shared beliefs, emotions, and intentions of a group of people. This all sounds very Outlast. It's interesting how they say she carves words into the victims. They sound similar to the etchings on the strippers in the casino. Then again, there seems to be a lot of blood calligraphy in trials. More Precise Detonation is the title of another evidence file in the Rumours folder. The file is a transcription from a tape of conference between Alice Bradley Alvolanos and James Lawler. They talk about the new trials and problems with them ending too soon, with a bomb detonating too early. There is an implied relationship taking place between Alice and Jameson. Alvolanos, premature detonations. Lawler, what is that supposed to mean? Alvolanos, they blow early, before the experiment really gets started. Lawler, Alice, if there's something you want to say, you can just say it. I had a nice time. I thought we had a nice time. Alvolanos, this is a recorded room. And now a message from this video's sponsor.
Premature ejaculation. There is not only one, but 4 kinds. Lidocaine and prilocaine are anesthetics, which decrease the sensitivity of the penis. There are several products on the market. The sprays get absorbed within a short time, but with local anesthetics, it might be wise to use condoms.
I want to know who Amelia is, and why 1733 mentions her. Who is leaving all of these evidence files around for us to find? Or the radios, are they trying to influence reagents? I hope we get more information in part 2 of the update. Lastly, I want to talk about Cornelius Noakes' involvement in Project Countdown. In evidence file, Grease the Guillotine, a conference takes place between Easterman, Scarfiotti, and Noakes. Easterman and Scarfiotti are forcing Noakes to modify the reagent's ESOPs with explosives. Scarfiotti, this is going to happen. Noakes, I never signed up to kill anybody. Scarfiotti, you were in the army. Noakes, these people ain't my enemies. Easterman, if you've seen some of the things they've done in the trials, you might revise your opinion. Scarfiotti, listen, the project is already approved. These things are going to be strapped to reagents' chests. If you want to help us figure out why the fuse box signals keep getting crossed, you'll save a few lives. Easterman, And if you do nothing, you're condemning reagents to deaths that otherwise could have been avoided. My wife always says, don't let the perfect get in the way of the good. She's Scarfiotti, your ex-wife. Easterman. Sorry? Noakes. Shit man, you're asking me to grease the guillotine here. Scarfiotti. If I had to face a guillotine, I'd rather it was greased than rusty. Easterman. What do you mean, ex-wife? Did something happen to Irene? Noakes agrees to construct the explosive devices under the guise that it would cause more casualties if he doesn't. Why can't Easterman remember divorcing his wife? Because he's losing his shit, that's why. Evidence file Sleepwalker is taken from the private journal of Hendrik Easterman. The entry was made the day after the conference with Scarfiotti and Noakes. Here's what he has to say. I divorced Irene more than 6 months ago. That evil fucking Italian laughed in my face. I have no memory of it, none whatsoever. Yet there is a certificate in my file from the state of Massachusetts with my signature on it, acknowledging the divorce. If it is an act of forgery, it's a remarkable one. The line even bears the inconsistencies of my fountain pen. There are holes in my memory, terrifying gaps, like pulling up floorboards and seeing your foundation hollowed by termites. Irene divorced me for grotesque negligence. I divorced Irene willingly, somehow. She said I haven't spoken with, seen, or even corresponded with her in years. The lying bitch. I still love her like the sun. I am alone. I am losing control. I don't know the last time I've seen the sun, or touched skin with an ungloved hand. I want the bitch dead. If I can't trust my memories, then what can I trust? There are parallels between Noakes and Easterman. Both are losing touch with time and reality. They are both being manipulated by Murkoff. Noakes is given his mechanical parts wrapped in newspapers with the date 1956. He knows he boarded the plane to come to the job in 1958, so the papers confuse him.
Sometimes I smooth out the scraps of newspaper that the components come wrapped in. I ain't found any later than May of 1956. It was August 1958 I got on the plane to come here. Now, I don't even know what year it is. I got a fiance out there, back in Jersey. Got a brother in Ohio. Don't even know I'm alive. Probably think I just walked out on him or got hit by a bus.
When being interrogated over looking at leaked documents on the Night Hunter's vision equipment, Noakes asks for the real date, which was 1959, meaning he has been there for over a year. He weeps upon learning this. This type of torment proved too much for his predecessor, Cecil Mayers, who either went mad or took his own life. This has been a cut down and censored version of my original video on Project Countdown. The original video was age restricted, so I made this version so it reaches more people. Please subscribe for more. Thank you.